Hi, everyone. I can see people starting to filter into our presentation today. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Leslie Hendrickson. I'm on the steering committee of the Newburyport Literary Festival, and we're so excited that you could join us today for our second day of programming for our online festival. Just a few things before we begin. This is a webinar, not a meeting. So right now you're seeing Glee Woodworth's first slide for her presentation, but you're not going to see yourselves. The presentation will be about 30 minutes total, and there will be time for questions at the end. Please use the Q&A tab down at the bottom to put in your questions. And in the chat, there's information about the festival and links to our independent bookstore partners, the Bookshop of Beverly Farms and Jabberwocky in Newburyport. They have all the festival books, and we encourage you to support them or your local bookstore. And now I am going to turn it over to Glee Woodworth, who has a beautiful presentation for us. Thank you so much, Glee.
Thank you, Leslie. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Now, you know, some of you have attended my sessions, and I love to chit-chat through the entire session with you, but I can't see you, but I'm going to pretend that I see you, okay? And so this is about my next publication, early July, the Newburyport Clipper Heritage Trail, Volume 1. Okay, so is everybody ready? Are you comfortable? Okay, let's go. So look at this photo. Isn't this a beautiful photo? Where do you think you're standing? Where is the view from? Yeah, the Unitarian Church steeple. And in the foreground, you see Inn Street. And there are some buildings there that are no longer there. All right, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Then up above, you see the Merrimack River, and then it goes off to the right to the mouth of the river and the Atlantic Ocean. Now I'm going to read the first few sentences from my introduction of the Clipper Heritage Trail book, Volume 1. Unintentionally, I found something I loved to do years ago. As most of us know, some of the best experiences in our lives are unplanned. They just kind of unfold, fall in our lap, or appear out of nowhere. After many years traveling the world with the United States Peace Corps, I settled back home, and within a year, I offered to guide my father, Todd C. Woodworth's cemetery tours. I dove in headfirst, researching and studying, not realizing that my first tour of Oak Hill Cemetery would lead to an award-winning book, over 170 local history presentations, and self-guided walking tours of Newburyport 14 years later. Where did the time go? So this is my latest project. Okay, so let's go through Newburyport Clipper Heritage Trail, the website. And it's self-guided history tours. You can download brochures and maps, and there are free smartphone tours. And it won an award from the American Association of State and Local History. Now here's the home page of the website. You can see the tours up front. You can click on the mobile website. And you can download maps and the brochures from here. So I decided a couple years ago, finally, it was time to put the Clipper Heritage Trail, all this information, the tours, in a book. And here we are. Here is the book cover. On the right side, you can see the front cover, and on the left is the back cover. So let's take a look at the front cover. Now, look at this. It's a busy day on July 4th, 1898. Now, picture yourself holding the book. You're looking at the front cover, and you're standing where the trolley is in the left corner. And you're looking left toward the old market house, the firehouse, and look at the flag. It looks like it's floating in the air, 48 stars, but it is attached to a 105-foot pole. The lower half is from the schooner Florida that shipwrecked off of Salisbury. And the upper half is a mast from the schooner Glendon, which shipwrecked a couple of years earlier, the same day as schooner Florida. And they're celebrating the end of the Spanish-American War, the victory the day before. Now, take the book, walk to your right a few yards, and now you're looking up State Street. Now, it seems like a quiet day, but there are people standing on the sidewalk. Look at the far left. There's Ballou's clothing store. Look at that Husson wagon. Then there's Liberty Street. Starbucks is on that upper corner. Go further up, there's another Husson wagon. There's Middle Street. Opposite of Middle Street, there's the pole in front of the Newburyport Marine Society. And this photo was taken in about 1885. Wonderful photos. Okay, so here's a summary of Volume 1, the Trail Book Volume 1. There'll be 9 chapters and tours, maps and legends. I've written about 75 locations, and there are 370 plus images. Volume 2, I hope, will be out next spring, and I'll be writing about from Maudsley State Park to Plum Island. Okay, so here are the trail tours, and I talk a little bit about everything. So there's some topic for everyone in this book. Architecture, the story of urban renewal, how they built ships, biscuits and boxes and coal, State Street and Pleasant Street and Green Street and Brown Square and down along in the ridge up on High Street. So here are some sneak peeks and highlights, all right? Okay, the beginning when Newbury was settled in 1635 along the Parker River, and here you are with the monument that was installed in 1902 down on Cottage Road along the Parker River where the settlers landed. And you can still see that monument. Okay, what church is this? Think, Market Square, the Third Parish Church, which was built in 1725. And this was the beginning of the Port of Newbury becoming Newburyport in 1763-ish. Oh, look at this map. Look at this. Now, this was sketched in 1774, all right? And so you can see it's a little out of perspective, but look in the foreground in the lower half, and you see the ducks. So what is this? This is the Frog Pond, today Bartlett Now. Now look over on the left. This is tricky. The church is facing the river. It's the Old North Church, now the Central Congregational Church, okay? The church faced the Merrimack River. What's the middle church we just talked about? Yes, the Third Parish Church down on Market Square. And then over on the right is on Federal Street. Yes, Old South Church. All right, architecture. I wanted to go over just the basic concepts and included diagrams and photos of them. So this diagram is courtesy of the Newburyport Preservation Trust and Greg Calling of Merrimack Designs. So I included those designs that give a basic explanation of the different designs. This is a very cool book. Look at the date, 1805. Sharon, the archivist, found this down in the library archives, Rules of Work for House Rights. And on the right side is a page. And what this book does is give some structure to the house rights and how long it would take to make a door frame or a window frame or even an outhouse. And there's the different types of architecture, doors, windows. Okay, Ashes to Restoration, the story of our historic downtown. As you know, some of you have attended my urban renewal slideshow. This is one of my favorite stories. So on the left, There's the Great Fire of 1811, the map, the shaded area. See, through Market Square, up to Pleasant, over the Middle, and down through the Wharf, where over 200 buildings were destroyed in May of 1811. And then we have today's photo, today's downtown. How did we get there with all of these beautiful brick buildings? So Mary, here is a little hint of the story. Mary Wilkins Hasslinger was 18 years old, and I'm going to read words that she wrote to me in an email. And this is how the beginning of the downtown was saved from urban renewal, from the bulldozers back in the 60s. I was 18 years old when I told my father I wanted him to save downtown Market Square. I remember it vividly. He was reading a medical journal when I entered his library and said, "Daddy, they are going to tear down Market Square and you have to stop it." He looked up at me and asked, "Why me? I am not a new reporter." I answered, "That doesn't matter. Mummy is a new reporter. Grandpa was a new reporter and you adored him. And I know you can do this." So he asked, "What do you suggest I do?" I answered, "You can start by writing a letter to the Daily News." So that's what he did. And a committee was formed. They met several times with Mayor George Lawler to say, "Look, please, please, we can save some of these buildings." And Mayor Lawler says, "I wrote a resolution as mayor and brought it to the Newburyport Redevelopment Authority. I wrote it as a favor to the people who came to me. All they were asking for was consideration. It got them a foot in the door and they were happy about it. Before Newburyport, urban renewal was bulldozers. When we did this, restoration wasn't the popular thing to do. This plan to bulldoze downtown was passed by the city council in May of 1965. And Lawler remembers, and this plan was ready to go. Now hold on to your chairs. George says, all I had to do was sign the papers and send them off, and the downtown would have been gone. How scary is that? And there's George there. Okay, N Street. Does anybody remember N Street looking like this? And today. Wow, how lucky are we? All right, another photo. Where are we? Yeah, you see the river in the background. There's Gillis Bridge. This was a groundbreaking. And today. Wow. Okay, shipbuilders and merchants and tradesmen. I wanted to explain a little bit about how these vessels were built. We were the top shipbuilding community in New England, built over 2,000 vessels in the area. And so here's a sneak peek. The lumber, the gangs would go out to the forest. They had a list of what types of lumber they needed, lengths and shapes and so forth. Then they started framing the vessel, top right picture, and then down below they're framed, and now they are planking the vessel. And look at this, launch day. Thousands of people would come, children would skip school. Look at the people on top of the vessel. That's the Symington, getting ready to launch in Upper Merrimack Street into the river. Absolutely incredible. Okay, so here's downtown, uptown State Street. It's kind of where do you begin and where do you end? So a talk, Marine Society, Threadneedle Alley, Alfred Britcher, the well-known Hudson River painter, the Tracy Mansion, a public library, Wolf Tavern, Minnie Ackerson, one of my favorite local authors. Okay, up here on the left, don't you love that? That is from the City Directory. I absolutely love city directories. They are filled with ads. They tell so many stories. In fact, I love city directories almost as much as I love my chainsaw. That's how much I love the city directories. Okay, we have the coins up in the upper right-hand corner. And look at that, 1652. These are the coins that were in our people's pockets, and they were jingling as they walked down State Street. There's Wolf Tavern on the left, a sign of Wolf Tavern. Museum of Old Newbury is in possession of the sign. In the middle is an engraving. And do you recognize that mansion? Yes, it's the Tracy Mansion, our Newburyport Public Library. And on the right, this is a sketch by our well-known artist, Laura Coombs Hills of Nathaniel Tracy of the Tracy Mansion. So I try to use different types of images to tell the story. Here's a nice view looking down State Street at the corner of Charter. And over on the left out of the picture is Pleasant Street. There's an image of the house on the left, Temple Street, and that white building, Whitefield Church. All right, Pleasant Street, Dodge Shoe Factory, the Toll Silversmiths, Safford Jewelers, the Engine Company 5, Post Office. Take a look. Nice view looking up Pleasant Street. Unitarian Church on the right, Dodge Shoe on the left. There's another view. The White House on the left is the fire engine company. And the big brick building straight ahead, Bartlett Steam Mills. This is another view of Pleasant Street. And look at that. This is a wonderful photograph. Look at Star moving pictures. The Star Theater on the right, about where the post office driveway is. And then another sign, Premier Theater. Okay, Green Street. Strand Theater, the Baptist Church, Masonic, Theophilus Parsons, Clark Currier House, the Immaculate Conception Church. So look at this view. This is looking down on Lower Green Street, right to the Merrimack River. Look at the homes on the left, homes on the right, and they're no longer there. Okay, oh, look at this photo. Isn't this a beautiful one? Look at that beautiful mansion. Who lived in that mansion? Anyone? Yes, Attorney Judge Theophilus Parsons. And the church steeple. Whose church? The Catholic Church, right. And who was Theophilus Parsons? A well-known law student back in about 1778, 79. Our future president, John Quincy Adams, yes, who fell in love with Mary Fraser, who lived in the house, which is now the Elliott Woodworth Rogers Funeral Home. It's a great love story. And a view down Green Street. Look at the clothing that the young men and women are wearing, horse and carriage. And in the background is the Baptist Church. Okay, Brown Square. Of course, Moses Brown Square, Garrison Inn, the North Church, our native abolitionist, William Lloyd Garrison, Butler's Bakery, City Hall. Look at this. Okay, we're looking from Unitarian Church steeple, looking down on Brown Square. Beautiful photo of the Old North Church, and you can see on the right is City Hall. And there's another view. Now this is before the Garrison statue was placed in the 1890s. What we have here, Garrison Inn, also known as the Brown Hotel, Brown Square Hotel. Another view of Brown Square looking towards the Unitarian Church. That is Edward Hidden's house on the right. And what is there today? The post office. And City Hall, built in 1851. biscuits, boxes, and coal. This is a tour along Water Street, as you can see, from the firehouse all the way to the tannery. Beautiful photo of the firehouse, market house that was built in 1823. It was turned into a fire station. Beautiful view, Market Square, looking down Water Street towards the Custom House. Oh, this is a great photo. Look at this. Look at this. What are those train tracks there? The City Railroad. And what is the City Railroad now? The Clipper City Rail Trail. And that was the depot, and this was the time of the industrialization of the waterfront. Harris Pearson, Pearson's Bakery, eventually sold in the early 1900s to a group down in New York, known as the New York Biscuit Company, and eventually in the 1950s, the name was changed to Nabisco. Love the Oreos. Okay, beautiful photograph. Look at how clear that is. There's the City Railroad. We're down, that's the forward range light. Right. And a ship, Cushing's Wharf, the Riggers Wharf, where they installed all the masts, all the spars, all the lines and the sails and so forth. Look at the corner building on the right, sail loft. Okay, down along in the ridge from March's Hill to the Museum of Old Newbury. Write a lot about sea captains, the Wheelwright Home, Jacob Perkins printing plant, and then the museum and the academy. Look at this photo. Isn't this beautiful? Where are we standing? Yes, on top of March's Hill. Okay, looking across towards High Street. And what is that? Looks like a line going through in the lower half of the photo. That is the City Railroad. Yes, we just saw it on the waterfront. It cut along March's Hill. And what is it today? The rail trail. Wonderful photograph here. Look in the middle of High Street. What are those? Those are trolley tracks. This is at the top of Bromfield Street. Sarah Mulliken, one of my favorite local authors. This is a photo of Sarah in the Newburyport Public Library's children's room in the 1940s in Life magazine. And the Cushing House, there's young Margaret Cushing on the right. You will read some of her words from her diary on this tour. And she was a suffragist. She supported the women's right to vote. Okay, thank you very much. And we're all set. Leslie, do we have any questions?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Glee. That was amazing. So one person is interested in creating a tour for her own town, and so she asks where you started and who you contacted.
Call me, contact me. You know, I knew nothing. And so it was just over a period of time learning about people who were buried in the cemeteries and just all my research, looking through the history books. And so start on a street, start in a particular neighborhood, start there. And then you go to the city directories, or you go to your local history books and see, oh, that person lived here, or that event happened over here. But seriously, contact me.
So if you were new to Newburyport, where would you start learning about local history in Newburyport?
Certainly the ClipperHeritageTrail.com. Absolutely, go there. The library archives, there's the Newburyport Preservation Trust, there's the Museum of Old Newbury, there's the Custom House Maritime Museum. Okay, there's a few weeks right there. Yeah.
So talking specifically about the slideshow, there was that slide 11 showed the town, but someone is asking why it didn't show the settlement at Rings Island. Do you know about the settlement at Rings Island?
Oh, oh, was it the map? Maybe they're asking about, yeah, it probably was the map. So I guess it was very, there just wasn't a settlement there yet. There was certainly
Okay.
people in the 1640s. Robert Ring was given a grant, and that's why it's named Rings Island. So there just weren't houses there at that
Okay.
time.
Who are some of the most famous people that are buried in Newburyport?
Well, you got to define famous. We certainly have, as far as world-renowned, Laura Coombs Hills, the artist around, who's known around the world. Dr. Henry Perkins, who took the first aerial photograph in the United States in 1839. We have, oh boy, authors. We've got the statesman. We've got Caleb Cushing, who's buried here. He was a statesman. Open treaty, open China for trade. So that's just a handful.
What did you do? This is a question about the Peace Corps and what you did there when you were in the Peace Corps. Oh, nice, good.
Yeah.
So in many hats.
Thank you for the question. So in 1991 to 93, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the Islamic Republic of the Comoros Islands between Mozambique and Madagascar. I worked in the environmental education area. Then from 94 to 2004, I trained new Peace Corps volunteers and mentored host country national staff in 12 countries, starting Swaziland, Namibia, Niger, Bulgaria, Moldova twice, Armenia twice, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Bangladesh twice, China twice, the Russian Far East, and Micronesia. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful way to learn about the world and experience the world. And I'm very, very fortunate.
Wow. Getting back to Newburyport, what's the history behind the George Washington statue?
Well, Daniel Tenney, he grew up here. Daniel Tenney also donated the gas lights out in front of City Hall. And this was just a commemorative statue honoring George Washington, who came to Newburyport in the 1770s or 80s. And this was his contribution to Newburyport.
One person asked when the trolley on High Street was removed.
I don't understand that question. The trolley removed? I don't know what that means.
Was there a trolley in there was the train, as we saw.
Train came, first train was here in 1840s. The Huss Railroad came in the 1870s, and the trolleys, electric trolleys, came in the 1890s.
Gotcha.
Transportation.
Well, Glee, we're almost out of time, but a lot of folks have asked about when the book is being published and where you can get it. I'm sure Jabberwocky and Newburyport has.
No, so I'm self-published.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, so self-published. I postponed the publication due to the pandemic. It's going to come out early July. I'll be selling them out of my pickup truck, so to speak. I'll have lots of signings at Oak Hill, Brown Chapel, and I'll be around town. So I'll come to your house or mail it to you.
And can people find it on the website as well?
Yeah, they can just Google. There'll be plenty of social media out by my team, which is otherwise known as my friends, and newspaper articles and so forth. So you'll know where you'll be able to find me.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Glee. That was really great. And thank you all for being here. We have a whole day of events, so we hope you'll join us this afternoon, and stay well. Take care.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Leslie. Bye-bye.
Bye, Glee.